42% of current active listings have seen a price reduction. That is a big number, right? And as we sit here now, last week in August, we're approaching Labor Day weekend and ultimately a fall market. We might even have a little bit of anticipation for some mortgage interest rate relief. I wanted to share some of my own kind of insights and supplemental thoughts on how to interpret this market information that I am attaching here too. And so, first of all, price reductions are not the same as a price decline. And it's an important distinction. And I know there are some regions of the country that are seeing price declines. Clearly, there are also some other regions of the country that are still seeing price appreciation. That is going to be 100% predicated upon the competitive landscape and the supply-demand balance in each and every one of those markets all across the country. Second, what we're experiencing is, in a lot of cases, we have a different market than what we saw a number of years ago, where we had historically low interest rates, this massive demand that led to a competitive landscape that drove prices in many cases over asking price. And now all of a sudden we have a completely different market where we have, much higher interest rates, a reduced demand, and thus we have sellers that don't have the same kind of leverage in many of those markets. So one of the things that we're experiencing is a lot of the sellers that still either had some experience in that market a couple of years ago, or at least experienced it through their media exposure a couple of years ago, but they've approached this market with a very aspirational or inspired strategy on pricing, and it hasn't served them. And ultimately what's happened is we're seeing a lot of those 42% need to make price adjustments to get down to a competitive landscape where they're received better and ultimately sell. This is an important distinction. The biggest takeaway for me as an interpretation is how important it's going to be for sellers moving forward, regardless of what happens with interest rates, right? Because we're not going to see 3% again. But how important that distinction, the relationship is between agents and seller to approach the market strategically, get pricing right from day one, from the time it launches and hits the open market, to know that you're priced competitively so that you can get ultimately the best reaction from the marketplace, which will ultimately net the best overall outcome. So that's kind of my insight. I'll share the rest of the stats that are here. Take a look at it. If you have any questions as to how it applies to your local market, wherever you are around the country, drop a note or a line, and we, as always, would be happy to helping our information be hopefully the most beneficial and most important conversation that you have today. Have a great day.